Have you ever wondered what Jesus really looked like? We hear about his teachings, his miracles, and how deeply he cared for people. But when it comes to his physical appearance, the Bible doesn't give us many details. It focuses more on his mission than on what he looked like, and maybe that's how it was meant to be. But sometimes, ancient writings are found that claim to show us a glimpse of Jesus through the eyes of people who actually saw him. One of these discoveries has caught the attention of historians and believers around the world. It's a letter that's believed to be written by Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor who oversaw Jesus' trial and crucifixion. In this letter, Pilate describes Jesus in detail. He talks about his face, his presence, his skin color, and even the sound of his voice. Could this be real? Did Pilate truly write a letter describing Jesus? And if he did, why did it stay hidden for so long? Before we dive into the full story and explore Pilate's description of Jesus, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We bring you stories of biblical discoveries, ancient texts, and faith-based history. Now, let's begin. Before we get into the letter, let's take a quick look at who Pontius Pilate was. In the Bible, Pilate is the Roman governor who questioned Jesus before his crucifixion. He didn't find anything wrong with him and even tried to set him free. In John 18 verse 38, Pilate asked Jesus, "What is truth?" And after talking with him, he said, "I find no fault in him at all." That tells us something important. Pilate saw something different in Jesus. To him, Jesus wasn't just another criminal. There was something about his calmness and silence that left Pilate confused, maybe even shaken. So what did Pilate really think about Jesus? Could he have written his thoughts down? Over the years, several ancient writings have been linked to Pilate. But there's one in particular that stands out. It's often called the Letter of Lentulus, though some versions say Pilate wrote it himself. Scholars still debate where it came from, but many agree that this letter shows how powerful people at the time may have seen Jesus. And now, here's a part of that letter that has fascinated people for centuries. The letter says something truly fascinating. At this time, there appeared a man of great virtue named Jesus Christ, who is still among us. His hair is the color of fully ripened chestnut and smooth near the ears. Below that, it's more wavy and shiny. His forehead is smooth and peaceful, his face has no wrinkles or blemishes, and it's touched with a beautiful reddish tone. It continues. His beard is thick and matches the color of his hair. It's not very long but is parted in the middle. His eyes are bright and seem to change, like the morning star. His voice is soft and clear. He behaves with modesty and speaks with wisdom. For many readers, these words stop them in their tracks. Could this really be someone describing Jesus from first-hand experience? One of the most interesting parts of this letter is how it talks about Jesus' hair and skin. According to the writer, Jesus had hair like ripened chestnut, most likely a deep brown shade. His skin is described as having a beautiful red color, which could mean a healthy, sun-kissed look, maybe olive-toned, just like you'd expect from someone born in the Middle East. The Bible tells us that Jesus was born in Bethlehem and grew up in Nazareth, places in the Middle East where people typically had darker skin. That's a big contrast to the pale-skinned images of Jesus found in many medieval paintings. In Isaiah 53 verse 2, the prophet says, "He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him." That means Jesus didn't look like a king or someone rich. He looked like an ordinary man, but his presence was powerful. People felt something when they were near him. And that's likely what Pilate, and many others, sensed too. The letter also describes Jesus' eyes as bright and changeable like the morning star. That's poetic, but it might mean his eyes had depth, peaceful, wise, and maybe even filled with sorrow. In the Gospels, many people were moved just by looking at him. One example is the rich young ruler in Mark 10 verse 21. It says, "Then Jesus, looking at him, loved him." There was something in Jesus' eyes, something that showed love without needing words. The letter also says his voice was sweet and plain. Just imagine the voice of Jesus, not loud or forceful, but calm, kind, and full of peace. In John 10 verse 27, Jesus says, "My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me." People who heard Jesus speak knew instantly, this man was different. His voice wasn't just comforting, it carried a quiet authority. One line from the letter says, "He is modest in his behavior and wise in his speech." Many men hold him in great admiration. That matches how people in the Bible reacted to Jesus. It wasn't just the miracles that drew crowds, it was him. His presence, his words, his calmness. In Luke 4 verse 22 it says, "All bore witness to him and marveled at the gracious words which proceeded out of his mouth." Jesus didn't shout. He didn't try to prove himself. He simply spoke, and hearts were moved. Even Pilate's wife felt something powerful. In Matthew 27 verse 19, she sends a message to her husband. "Have nothing to do with that just man, for I have suffered many things today in a dream because of him." People don't have reactions like that to just anyone. So why haven't we heard more about this letter? Like many ancient writings, it may have been hidden during times of war, persecution, or political unrest. Old scrolls and manuscripts were often locked away in monasteries, private collections, or even the Vatican archives for centuries. Some scholars say this letter, and others like it, were never made official because they aren't part of the Bible. And that makes sense. The Bible is complete and fully trustworthy in what it teaches us. But historical writings like this can still offer something valuable. They give us a glimpse of what people might have seen or felt back then. Just imagine, if Pilate, a Roman official with no reason to admire Jesus, was so moved that he wrote down what he saw, that would be remarkable. Now you might ask, why does any of this matter? After all, our faith doesn't rest on what Jesus looked like. It rests on who he is and what he did for us. And that's what truly matters. But there's something deeply powerful about remembering that Jesus was real. He walked among people. He had a face, a voice, a presence. He wasn't just a figure from a spiritual story, he was flesh and blood, just like us. He smiled. He cried. He laughed. He suffered. And more than anything else, he rose again. The beauty of the gospel isn't in what Jesus looked like, but in what he came to do. He came to seek and save the lost. He came to heal broken hearts and set people free. In John 1 verse 14 it says, "And the Word became flesh and lived among us, and we saw his glory." That's what these old writings remind us. Jesus really came. People saw him. They remembered him. Whether this letter truly came from Pilate or not, the way it describes Jesus fits perfectly with what Scripture tells us. He was humble. He was calm. He was full of love and compassion. His eyes held truth. His voice brought peace. His presence changed lives. The world often gives us different images of Jesus, ones shaped by art, tradition, or imagination. But these ancient texts bring us closer to the real Jesus. The one who walked dusty roads. The one who was both divine and fully human. He came not just to be seen, but to save. And if today you're feeling far from God, just remember this. The same Jesus who stood before Pilate with peace and grace is still reaching out to you. He knows you. He sees you. And he loves you. Thank you for joining us on this journey through history and faith. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe for more biblical discoveries, powerful stories, and messages to grow your faith. Until next time, may the peace of Christ be with you. God bless you.